Hello everyone, today we're going to make a tomato salad. So here are the ingredients that you will need. We first have some beautiful burrata cheese and a mix of fresh garden tomatoes. We have cherry tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes. We also have some fresh basil and a couple of more surprises on the way. So let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I know it's been a while, hasn't it? I hope everyone's doing well. So today we're going to make a tomato salad. These are all from our garden, and it's the first salad that we're going to be preparing with our own tomatoes, so I'm very excited. And we have some really nice ingredients here, and we can also talk about different substitutes that you can use with the tomatoes being the main ingredient. So I did quarter some. I have some nice small tomatoes here. And if you happen to have an electric knife, I like to use it to cut the tomatoes because it gives them really nice clean slices. Otherwise, I suggest you use a serrated knife. So let's just cut off the stem, and I'm just cutting it in half and then in thirds. And it also makes the job very quick and easy. So let's put the rest of these in here. And I want to also slice some tomatoes. I only have here one large beefsteak tomato. Hopefully it'll be enough because we're going to put it on a platter and serve it family style today. So let's just do them about a 1/4 inch thick. I'm just going to slice this tomato. Let's put this over here. It does make for a more interesting salad if you cut them in various shapes and sizes. And by the way, I just harvested these tomatoes and they're still hot from the sun and they smell really nice. Okay, so I have some very small tomatoes here, which you can cut in half, and we can also keep some of them whole. They're called Sweet 100s are the name of these tomatoes, and that's a perfect name for them because they are super sweet. They almost taste like candy. Okay, so let's get those finished. I have most of them done. And these are very petite San Marzanos, so I'm going to, this is a serrated knife too, by the way. So here's a different size that we can put on our platter too. And of course, if you can get heirloom tomatoes and various types of heirloom tomatoes, that makes for a really interesting salad. One fruit that will be coming up in season for us are peaches. Tomato and peaches go really well together, and you could add peaches to the salad, which would be delicious. I made some pesto. We have a lot of basil right now, so it's a perfect time to make some pesto. And I mean, pesto is just a lot of basil, extra virgin olive oil. You can either use pine nuts, you can use walnuts. A lot of people are using various nuts to make their pesto today. A little bit of Parmesan cheese, you can even use pecorino romano, and garlic, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's your pesto. So I have my pesto here, and I just want to add a little bit more oil to it. This happens to be a wonderful olive oil. It comes from Sicily, and it was given to me as a gift, and it's just delicious, and I am very appreciative and very grateful to have it. So I'm going to just drizzle a little more of the extra virgin olive oil and just give that a little bit of a stir. Now you can even purchase pesto in the store today if you don't have your own basil plant at home, because this does require a good amount of basil. So here's our pesto. And I also pickled a red onion. And pickling red onions or any type of sweet onion is very easy to do. It's just a little bit of, you can either use rice wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. I have some peppercorns in here and a bay leaf. You don't even have to do that. And once you bring all your liquid to a boil, you just pour it over your sliced onion and you are good to go. And they are delicious, and they just add a different element to the dish. So we're going to add some. And then I have a few capers here. Bob is a huge lover of capers. I think I could put capers in anything I make for him. He loves them so much. So we're going to put a few capers, which also adds an element of salt to the dish, which is great. Nuts. Since there is nuts in the pesto, I think it would be nice to add some nuts to the tomato salad. Here I have some caramelized walnuts. I'm going to put some walnuts on the plate. You could also, since if you're going to use the pine nuts for your pesto, which I did, you could use pine nuts, a nice sprinkling of pine nuts over the salad. We're going to use the walnuts today. I have some fresh basil to garnish, and so that you know there's basil in the dish. And then burrata. Burrata is a beautiful cheese. It's mozzarella cheese that has cream inside, so it just oozes with the milk, and it's absolutely delicious. It should always be served room temperature so you get the real full flavor of it. If you can't get burrata, you can always substitute with a bunch of different cheeses. You can use fresh mozzarella cheese, which would be great. Blue cheese and tomatoes go really well together. So if you love blue cheese, don't hesitate to try it here. Cubes of a really nice Roquefort would be really delicious here. So that's another idea to go with. Okay, we have all of our ingredients in front of us, and now it's just a matter of assembling. And I do have a nice loaf of ciabatta warming up in the oven. A nice piece of bread to go with a tomato salad like this is all you need. What you want to do is line the bottom of your platter with the sliced tomatoes. It gives it a nice home base, right? Which is what you're looking for. So, and then you can take your other tomatoes. By the way, I would say this is probably around 2 pounds or so of tomatoes that I'm doing here. This would definitely be enough for 4 people for lunch with a loaf of bread. Certainly 6 people if it's part of a buffet, more than enough. So let's go around and get this on the platter. And we're not even making a dressing. We're going to just dress it with this delicious olive oil and a very good quality balsamic vinegar. You can also make your own dressing if you prefer. If you have good ingredients, sometimes you don't have to do too much to them, which is really nice. All right, we're almost done here. Of course, I'm going to put the cheese directly in the center, but the first thing we want to do here is season our tomatoes. Tomatoes definitely need salt. So let's season our tomatoes first. I have a really nice sea salt in here, so let's just first go around. It's important to season the tomatoes so they have the full flavor, the benefit of the wonderful flavor of the tomatoes. And the sea salt draws it out. Okay, so there's that. And then what we want to do, I can put that in there too. Then what we want to do is put the cheese directly in the center. And I'm going to put this in the middle, and then we can cut it open. But let's wait until we get the rest of our tomatoes. So I have all these beautiful sweet 100s, which I'm just going to kind of strewn them around the platter. You don't have to be ultra fancy with this. It's all about the taste. Oh, okay, it's looking great already. I will put in a few capers for Bob, who loves capers, and capers and tomatoes go really well together. This is quite the Mediterranean dish we have going on here. Okay, and now I love the idea of the pickled onions. You want to make sure you don't get any of those peppercorns in there though. So, and you don't need a lot, but you want to be able to make sure everyone gets a nice taste of them. I love these onions. You can put these on a sandwich. You can use this for a lot of different things, a lot of different dishes. Okay, I think that looks really good. I have these smaller San Marzanos, which I'm going to also add to the plate. There we go. And once again, I'm going to layer it with a little bit of salt over the sweet 100s and over the cheese. Okay. We have our pesto, and I'll just use a couple of spoons, and what we'll do, I would say about 1/4 cup for a couple of pounds is more than enough, but you don't really need an amount. You just want to dollop it around the platter. I think there's enough to go around. Of course, you can always put more pesto at the table. There, I think that looks perfect. And let's put some walnuts. It adds a different texture to the dish, adds a nice crunch. These happen to be caramelized because I caramelized them. You can even buy caramelized walnuts in the supermarket, or if you don't want them to have that sweet taste, then just toast some walnuts and just use straight up walnuts or whatever nut that you happen to like. You know, it doesn't take much to put something really special together when you have really nice fresh ingredients, which is what we have here. So now the next is to take our really good quality olive oil, and I'm going to measure it. You don't have to. I'm just showing you what the amount is that I think for the amount of tomatoes. I would say a good couple of tablespoons is what we're looking for. So you just want to drizzle it over the top, and if you want to add more, add more. Okay. And in regard to the balsamic vinegar, if you don't have a really good quality one, I would say maybe in the supermarkets they have like a balsamic reduction, a glaze. That might work really nicely here too. Okay, I think that's enough olive oil. So I'm reaching the end of this amazing balsamic vinegar, but this is the perfect place to be using this. So let's go with 2 tablespoons of oil to 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And I'm trying to keep the cheese really clean, so I am not putting anything over the cheese other than a little bit of the sea salt. Okay, that looks really good. And then we can just finish it with some fresh basil right on the top. We can then open up the cheese so you can see how beautiful, how creamy it is inside. And there we go. Our salad is ready. I'm going to come around and show it to you. It looks amazing. Here's our beautiful tomato salad for lunch today. I can't wait to dig in. So a nice loaf of bread to go with this beautiful salad. I kind of think a glass of wine would be really delicious here. And I'm thinking a beautiful glass of rosé for the summer might be just the ticket. Okay, so bon appetit, everyone. I hope you enjoy this. Take care. Hope to see you again soon. Bye now. Don't forget to subscribe.